Okay, in lesson 1-7, we're going to write algebraic equations from verbal sentences and problem situations. So in order for us to benefit from being able to solve equations, we need to be able to take real-world situations and actually write them in algebraic equations in order to then be able to solve them. An equation is just like 3x equals 12. We have an equal sign in an equation, which means that we can work to solve it. So first we need to be able to write equations, and then we can work on figuring out how to solve them. Defining a variable is just saying what that variable is. We'll get into that and your expectations for homework on defining variables. All right, so consumer issues. The cost of a book purchased online plus $5 shipping and handling comes to a total of $29. Write an equation to model this situation. So I'm going to do some underlining here, okay? We have the cost of a book plus $5 shipping and handling comes to a total of $29. So I'm going to go ahead and say B equals book. All right, now what we just did was we just defined the variable. So we need to use a variable. It doesn't matter what letter you use. You could say X equals book. You could say Y equals book. You could say T equals book. Just to make it make more sense for me, I'm going to use B stands for book. So you have to define what the variable is. Now I'm going to say B plus 5. So it says right here plus 5 is equal to $29 because it's a total of $29. All right, now it does not say that we need to solve this. All we have to do is write an algebraic equation. All right, so you could probably know, well, okay, well, B, the book costs, $24. That's not what this is asking you to do. We're just practicing on writing equations at this point. So your actual answer is this right here. B plus 5 equals $29, and then you have to have that as well because we were defining the variable. All right, so let's try another one. A box of oatmeal contains 10 individual packages. If the box contains 30 grams of fiber, write an equation to find the amount of fiber in one package of oatmeal. Okay, so the box contains 30 grams of fiber. We have 10 individual packages. So I know I'm going to be doing something like, well, this is write an equation to find the amount of fiber in one package. So I'm going to say F equals fiber, okay? It's always important to define your variable. Now, if I have 10 packages, I want 10 times F, and that gives me the 30. Okay, so you kind of have to figure out, are we going to be adding here? Again, we have 10 packages, so how much fiber per package? And whenever you think or hear the word per, we want to multiply. Okay, it's kind of one of those key words for us. All right, now again, we don't have to solve it, even though we know that there's going to be 3 grams of fiber per package. Is 10 times 3 is 30. This would be my answer, and this would be all the work that you need to show for this kind of a problem. All right, we just want you to define the variable and then be able to write an equation to represent what's going on up here. All right, the 8th grade has $35 less in its treasury than the 7th grade has. Given S, the number of dollars in the 7th grade treasury, which equation can be used to find E, the number of dollars in the 8th grade treasury? Now, they already gave us variables to use. All right, so S stands for 7th grade, and E stands for 8th grade. All right, now they only gave us one number here, okay? It's $35 less. 8th grade has $35 less. So we need to make sure that our equation shows that 7th grade has more money and that 8th grade has less money. Okay, we have to make sure that it looks like that when we are done. So to do that, I'm going to say that my 7th grade minus $35 is equal to my 8th grade. Okay, now let's make sure that that makes sense. If our 7th grade minus 35 is equal to 8th grade, then that means that 8th grade is less than 7th grade, because 7th grade minus 35 gives us our 8th grade. So let's make sure that makes sense. The 8th grade has $35 less in its treasury than the 7th grade has. All right, so that makes sense. Now, they already gave us the definition of our variables, but it might be nice to have that written and kind of stay in that habit of writing that down. All right, so we have one more here. Helena and her friends ordered 3 bags of popcorn. So whenever I read these, I kind of like to highlight or circle my items here. 3 bags of popcorn and 4 drinks from the snack stand. They spent $17. So, given P, the cost of a bag of popcorn, so I'm going to say P equals popcorn, which equation can be used to find D, the cost of a drink? All right, well, we know the total is $17. So we're going to say it's 17, so we know all of those stay the same. So I'm going to go ahead and write it over here, even though we have choices. All right, even though we have multiple choice, you should still show work all the time. All right, so we have $17 total. Now, we bought 3 bags of popcorn. So it's going to be like 3 times something. So 3 times popcorn, right? Let's see. Well, A doesn't show that. B doesn't show that. C shows 3 times popcorn, and D shows 7 times popcorn. Well, I don't want 7. I only wanted 3 popcorn. All right, now we did 4 drinks. So and, okay, kind of like from before, whenever we said and, we had a plus, and we had 4 drinks. All right, and that matches the letter C. So C is our correct answer. 17 total dollars. We bought 3 popcorns and 4 drinks. Okay, so that's why this equation here makes the most sense. Now again, please, whenever it's multiple choice, show me a little bit of work. Show me that you're working it out, and then of course you can choose C and circle it. All right, that's our last example for today. We're going to be having some practice worksheets in order to solve and write equations, get extra practice with writing these equations.